or is it just me? I feel like I'm sweating. All right, is this water for me?
Yes. Aisha got it.
Well, if you guys can go ahead and turn to. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'm loud already as it is, so I mean I probably don't even need a mic. We're going to turn to Jonah chapter 1. Jonah chapter 1. I have this I get too excited that I don't know what to do with my hands, so I have to hold the microphone. If not, I'll probably just have my hands doing weird, awkward things. Jonah chapter 1. And I'm going to talk about a couple different things here. I'm going to talk about Jonah and Moses, both. And the title of my message I have tonight is Excuses, Excuses. You know, I did this message, I think it was maybe over a year ago. And I talked about, Jonah, and I related that to Mark chapter 4, where Jesus was sleeping in the boat. And I title of my message was, how long will you sleep? I was talking about how Christians, tend to get in pilot mode and just kind of zoom on by, and they kind of just get stuck in this one-way track of things. But tonight I did a little different, and I called it Excuses, Excuses. And, we hear excuses a lot. The pastors got some of the best excuses I've heard in the book of excuses. So he was out, not him himself, but people that he spoke to. He was out on door knocking one day, and I guess this lady, he was talking to this lady about church, and she goes, well, I don't have no peanut butter. And he goes, what? She goes, it's just an excuse. She goes, what excuse is better than the next? Yeah. And I was like, if that's what you want to use your excuses. But she made a good point, is people make excuses for everything. How many times have we heard people say, I'll be there, Pastor? I'm sure you guys have heard that. Maybe not. You guys are awesome. We hear, I'll be there, Pastor, Sunday morning. The first thing, I'm going to be there. Sunday morning comes and we're like, all right, we're there. And we don't see nobody. Yeah. And as we talk about Jonah, I'm sure he had excuses too. And, we read in Exodus, Moses had so many excuses of why he didn't want to do the things of the Lord. But I want you guys to look at yourself and say, do I have any excuses? That stopped me from saying, you know what, Lord, this is what you've called me to do. Because we're all called for something. Right. We all have that calling in us that the Lord, before we were even born, he knew us. Right. He knew our calling, he knew our purpose in life. And, we talk to people every day, and we tell them, you have a purpose in life. Just because you're living a life of sin does not mean God does not have a bigger plan for you. That's right. God always has a bigger plan for each and everybody that we come across. God has a bigger plan for you, me, for all of us. When we were all out there doing the things that we wanted to do, he had that plan for us. So I'm going to go ahead and read Jonah chapter 1. It says, verse 1, it says, now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, arise and go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. Listen to this. The first word in verse 3 says, but. We all know what the word but means. Hey, Daniel, your hair's looking good, but. Yeah. Hey, Pastor, you preached good, but. Hey, you did this good, but. That but is like, basically wiped everything good that you were saying. What? It's like an eraser. Okay? I went through a lot of erasers in school. It says, but Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So I have 3 points today, and I have a little note from somebody that says, keep it under 20 and I'll give you a 20. I'm not going to point names because Gabe is sitting in the audience. So I don't want to put him on blast. So I have 3 points today, and I want to hit them really quick, short and sweet. Amen? So the first one is the call. Okay? The second point is the disobedience. And the third point is the consequence. Yeah. So I want to talk about, first of all, what we're called to do. Second of all, how they disobeyed it, and if you're disobeying it. And the third thing is the consequences that Jonah and them faced. And if we don't, obey God, what he's called us to do, we're going to have to face the consequences as well. Right. Let me turn right here. I'm going to read 1 Timothy chapter 4. If you guys want to turn there real quick. 1 Timothy chapter 4. You guys have your Bible, say amen. Oh, here, Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 4. You guys there, say amen. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 11, it says, "These things command and teach, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Till I come, give attendance to reading, to exhortation, to doctrine. Neglect not the gift that is in thee." Pay attention to that. "Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by the prophecy, with the laying on the hands of the presbytery. Meditate on these things, give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all. Take heed unto thyself and unto doctrine, continue in them, for in doing this shalt both save thyself and them that fear me." What it's clear to say right there is the gift that is in you, the gift that God has blessed you with, do not let it sit there and rot away. We all have something in us that is different from each and everybody here. Yeah. You know, I may not be good at what, Brother Vince in the soundboard. I have no idea what that looks like a battleship to me. I don't know what none of that stuff looks like. All this computer, I don't know. Okay? But to him, that's what God has blessed him with, the talent to know what that stuff is about. You got singers in here, you got teachers in here, you got preachers, you got people that have a gift. And people think, well, what is my gift? And I was saying, ask God, pray, say, Lord, what have you called me to do? Because if we try to find that gift on our own, we're going to think, well, this is what I like to do, that's what my gift is. Yeah. And we just want to make up our own gift. We have to read the Bible, we have to pray, we have to talk to God and say, Lord, show me what you have called me to do. Guide me what you want me to do. Take me where you want me to go. Because if we try to do it on our own, we're going to be just lost wandering around. So there's a gift that's inside of each and every one of us today. And I encourage you guys to find that gift and to use it. Because just because we don't have 3,000 people, that doesn't mean that not everybody's gift can be used. Right. If we're not using our gifts and we're just being pew warmers and we're sitting there, then things are going to rot away. Daddy preached a message one time about the guys who got the talents, and some of them multiplied them and the other ones hid them because they didn't want to waste. And that's if we just sit there on our talents, there's nothing going to come from that. Right. And back to Jonah. Jonah was called, chosen, handpicked by God, and he neglected the gift that God gave him. Yeah. We always tell my brother that he's Jonah because he got on a plane, went out to LA, took the test. They shipped him off to the military. He said, I'm done with church. I don't want nothing to do with church. That's it. I'm running. I'm leaving. He went to the military. In the military, he had nobody. Right. No family, no mommy, no daddy. They wake you up at 3 in the morning kicking you and telling you to get up and go, hey, Mom. That mom, 5 more minutes, Mom, that don't work. They're flicking lights on, throwing you off the bed. And he said his world just went upside down like that. And he found himself alone every night. Thinking of the things that when people preached. Yeah. Man, I ran from God. And the funny thing is, I think it was maybe only 3 weeks in, if even that, he called us back. I went down to the chaplain, and we had church, and I gave my heart to God. He said, I tried running from God, but you can't run from God. When you try, no matter where you go in your life, God's going to find you. Right. God has a plan for you. It's there for a reason. He tried running, and I tell the story all the time, so I'm sure he's okay with it. But he went, and he thought, I'm going to go, and I'm going to be this military guy. And now, next thing you know, he's right there crying, calling everybody, I'm sorry, I ran from God, Dad, I love you. And he became this big old globbing baby. But sometimes we gotta get to that point in our life. Right. Sometimes my dad always told me, boy, you're gonna learn the hard way. And I never learned the easy way. There were some people that you explain it once, explain it twice, they get the hint. Me, I don't know. I think that they hit me too many times in the head or dropped me or something. But I'm a hard-headed person. It takes me forever to get the hold of what they're trying to tell me. Son, don't do this. Son, don't do that. You're gonna get hurt. And they try to explain it, and I still did it. Same thing with God. He's gonna tell us, hey, look, don't be doing this. It's gonna hurt you. Don't go there. It's gonna hurt you. It's gonna ruin your testimony. Don't say those things. Don't watch those things. Don't do those things. because our way is the best.
Yep.
Jonah thought probably the same thing. I'm going to run. I'm not going to say that. He goes, those people are already done for.
Yeah.
You know, they're wicked. Why am I going to? Who are we to say what someone's done?
That's right.
You know, we have people that I've heard. You don't know who I'm talking about, but someone said people have told me that because his son was spun out on drugs, and they said that's it. There's no more hope for him. I believe as long as someone's still alive, there's a fighting chance for us to bring it to God.
Right.
It's not up to us to say, you know what, that's it, you're done. When God says you're done, is when it's done. It's not up to us. So when Jonah was telling, you know what, that's it, they're done for, who is he to say that they're done for? But, you know, we all try to run and we all find ourselves doing the same things. It's like the men, you know, when the wife saying, go do this, go do that. I'm not going to do that right now. And then like 2 minutes later, we're doing it. You know, it's like when you tell your kids, go throw the trash. My dad always tells me, go throw the trash. Griping and complaining. Dragging the trash out with the bag rips. And then the rips get smacked in the back of the head, you got to pick up all the trash. But are we doing the things for the Lord, griping and complaining?
Yeah.
Are we dragging our trash bag around the church and saying, oh, I don't want to know. I guess I'll get up there and sing today. I guess I'll get up there and preach. All these ungrateful people. Move me, Pastor. Preach to me. You know, I don't want to teach those kids. They got nothing but boogers coming out their nose and they're just griping and complaining. Are we doing the things of the Lord with a cheerful spirit? Or are we doing them out of just, because I have to? Well, why don't so-and-so do it? I bet you Jonah said the same thing. Why don't so-and-so do it? You know, Jonah probably made excuses. The second thing we're going to read here is disobedience. It says, but the Lord sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. And the mariners were afraid and cried, every man unto his God.